Now for global business updates, Rotus Odiri joins us. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Doctor. Good morning, all our viewers out there. We begin in Asia. China has left its lending rates in place. Markets are looking to see if there will be more easing. What I mean by that, if you reduce rates, you stimulate aggregate demand. There's deflationary pressure over in China with respect to what's been happening with the property sector, people holding back on spending. So I think there are 1 year prime loan rates was left at 3.4, and then the 5-year loan rate was left at 4.2. Okay, the numbers aren't up yet, but I think they were held. That's why they're held. So there are no changes in that regard in respect to China. From there, we move to Alibaba. There's been more reshuffling. This is Mr. Eddie Yongming Wu, who took over as CEO back in, I think it was September or so. Now he's heading the cloud business units. He's now heading the e-commerce units. Alibaba has lost a lot of market share to its competitors, so he's going to be taking over Taobao and Tmall. The gentleman that he's replacing is Trudy Dai. They're going to apparently form a new asset management subsidiary. So Alibaba just keeps breaking into smaller pieces. It tells you the sheer size of the e-commerce market in China. I mean, that alone is bigger than the populations of most countries. So it's massive, competition is heavy, and so they're just breaking up into smaller pieces. So we move from Asia over to Elon Musk and their targets for political ads. You'll notice he brought back the conspiracy theorist Alex Jones. He brought back Trump, although Trump is on Truth Social and contractually cannot be tweeting. So he's looking to target $100 million in revenue next year, 2024. From political ads alone, according to an internal memo that was seen by the Financial Times. So they're betting big, and this is because, of course, companies have been leaving. In fact, there's been a back and forth. I understand Tesla has removed Disney Plus from their in-vehicle entertainment because of the retaliation for Disney taking ads off X, even though X and Tesla are two separate companies. People have been complaining online. Speaking of politics, this isn't business news, but it's huge. I mean, the Colorado Supreme Court has barred Donald Trump from the 2024 ballot. Apparently, in the Constitution, there's some language that says that if you are charged with treason or trying to an insurrection, then you can be barred from running for office. So at least for the primary in Colorado, because we kick off in about 4 or 5 weeks with the Iowa caucuses, then we go to New Hampshire, then I really can't wait. It's going to be exciting next year with the election. So they've barred him. Now the thing is, will other Supreme Courts follow suit? Trump is well ahead in the polls. I mean, he's like 49 points in some polls. Nikki Haley is in 13%, and then you've got Ron DeSantis, or Ron DeSatan as they call him, in like third place. So that's what they call it. So anyway, it's big. I mean, this is something that just came out just the Supreme Court ruling yesterday. Will others follow? It's likely to shake things up. And of course, Trump acolytes will say, well, you're trying to bar him from running, because he's beating Biden in some polls because of inflation, because Americans feel things are a lot more expensive. And then we come to, I think, Nigeria. No, top 10 best airports. Since we're talking about Christmas period holidays, you will see we're counting from left. So it's Muscat in Oman, and then Redcliffe International in Brazil. Look at South Africa, Recife, thank you. Cape Town International Airport ranked 3rd in the world. This is according to Air Help. And then you've got Brazil did well. Brazil has what? 1, 2, 3, 4 airports in the top 10. Japan has 1, 2, 3 airports. So Oman comes out tops. South Africa making the top 3 as far as Cape Town International Airport is concerned. The 10 worst, Indonesia was in tops. Malta, London Gatwick was in 3rd place. Lisbon Delgado in 4th. Airport in Belgrade that I've never heard of in 5th place. Toronto's there. Look, airports like JFK, airports like, all others, were not, they didn't do very well. I'm still searching for Nigeria.
JFK is not part of
they didn't. They were like
airports.
No, they were like 160th or something.
Yeah, it was a very terrible airport.
They ranked about 1,500. And this is the CEO saying that it is not just airlines that make the travel experience, it's also airports. So he's the CEO of Air Help. He says the travel experience is not the sole responsibility of the airlines, but also the airports. This year, airports across Asia have had a very strong performance. I mean, there's one airport in Singapore that has like a garden and an amusement park and stuff like that. So now we move to Nigeria. I hope everybody has their SIM cards linked to their NIN. The directive from the Communications Commission to telco operators, if you don't have an NIN, you will be barred from making calls by February the 28th. If you've got 5 or more lines and you've submitted a NIN but it's yet to be verified, you'll be barred by March the 29th. If you got on, who has 5 lines? Anyway, if you got on any, doctor has like 3 phones with him, right? So I don't know how you guys do multiple lines. If you have I don't want to promote one particular telco, but I've been with just one for the past 13 years and they're the best. Anyway, under 5 lines, unverified NIN, you'll be barred by April the 15th. And remember, the harmonization exercise began in 2020. Now, according to the NCC, how many lines could possibly be barred? As of September, they said there were about 12.3 million. And I know a few people whose numbers have disappeared off my contact list. So it's already happening. The question now is, I think they are pushing back. We've got the chairman, Engineer Agbenga of the telco operator, Alton, the Association of licensed telco operators of Nigeria. He's coming on the Global Business Report at 11:30 this morning, so we'll be talking extensively about that. I think the telcos want a little more time, but hey, this thing has been rolling on for like 4 years now. But look, this thing it's pretty difficult. It's very manual, it's very laborious. People have to go in line, submit things, take pictures, biometrics. So that's our update for today.
So that's why they need to put a lot more technology in it.
Yeah,
I get the idea. You know, it needs to be digital so that it could be a whole lot faster. I don't know why we're not putting technology, because when you look at the data sets, it's small compared to countries like India that had the Aadhaar system, that they have about 1 billion people on the Aadhaar register. And it's seamless. You know, the Aadhaar number system is so seamless now that most people across India, even if you want to take a plane or something, you just key in your Aadhaar number, and it shows you everything in country travel. So there's a whole lot more that needs to be done to be able to facilitate the process. I mean, I'm shocked I didn't see GFK as part of the 10 worst airports. I'm happy that no Nigerian airport was there. Maybe
I'm still
it wasn't
searching
around.
I checked.
But I'm so
list.
happy.
Yeah.
I'm shocked I didn't see GFK, because I flew into GFK a couple of years ago. That was the worst airport in civilized world I've ever seen in my life. Terrible service,
delays,
terrible restaurant, delays here and there. It was a nightmare, and I'm like, is this America? Are you? And this the airport in New York, the famous JFK? You know, but at least there's something that they got right. The train leading up to JFK, there's a transit system that goes through that place. At least you have like a proper train system. But look at the countries that the airports have done very well. They've invested heavily. Look at the South Africans. Look at, I mean, it's argue you can know why Gatwick had probably, because Gatwick was a whole lot efficient. But since, I think the lease with Adebayo Ogunlesi is over already. So I think since that, Gatwick has really dropped the ball and all of that. So it's about how airports are managed, and I think this is a data that a lot of people need to look at. But you're not surprised about Muscat, Oman. I mean, those countries. I keep telling you that it's a new world. Countries like Dubai, Doha, and all of that, they're investing in heavy infrastructure and all of that. But when you go to the story of Alibaba, it just shows you the size of e-commerce. But the question is, why have we not been able to crack e-commerce in Nigeria? There are many problems. Number one, we call it fulfillment in e-commerce parlance. Fulfillment means you hold the money in escrow, you take a product, you give it to the customer says, I'm satisfied with it. It's a 2-week period.
And you release the money.
And you release the money, which is a very big deal. A lot of customers will tell you, once they get the product, they will keep it for 3-4 days. When it's trying to get to the 7-day threshold, when we did e-commerce then it was 14 days. When it's trying to get to the 7-day threshold, as some people said, they will return the good. You pay for the logistics of getting the good back. That's why no e-commerce company hardly bakes even in this country. It is very sad. Then also, if you are listing a market space or a marketplace on your e-commerce website to be able to reduce your risk, you see a lot of phony people get on it and they use it to transact. They don't even get people. So there's a lot of problem. Even addressing system, to be able to find an address and the attitude of the people. So there are a lot of problems in e-commerce. That's why I tell people, it's so sad that if you want to lose money, go do e-commerce. But it's been successful in countries like this. And you can see how they are even, segmentizing the market and putting other things in place. So I think we should be able to learn from them a great deal. But we are not learning from them.
But in terms of the airport ranking, Rotus, a quick look at the rank. I don't think many African countries featured. In fact, when they ranked by a continent, they didn't rank Africa. And that's why we can't see anyone in the top.
No,
because
apart
from South Africa, there's not. And I say that Africa doesn't even have like.
So they're not even ranked.
They're not even ranked.
I was still searching. It was
they're
like
not ranked.
1,500.
So just to mention that these airports are we didn't even come on the radar. That's quite which quite unfortunate. But I think I also put a spotlight.
Don't talk like that about our newly built airports.
That terminal is nice though.
Which one?
Murtala Terminal 2.
I think it has potential.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that the planning wasn't well thought out, but it has potential. Yes, and also if you look at even the design, I was quite proud. I mean, we usually compare the Nigerian airport, our international airport, to that of Ghana, especially when Kotoka International Airport in Ghana, because obviously we are neighbors and it's a mile away. However, I believe that the new Kotoka, that if a lot of work is put into the new international airport, we could potentially be one of the finest airports in Africa. Because if you look at Kenya, that receives quite a lot of traffic, their airport isn't a lot to write home about. Right. So that's Jomo Kenyatta Airport. So it is important that we push our Ministry of Aviation to do something about that. Now, this also puts a spotlight because yesterday I talked about the hassle of traveling internally.
You did.
And perhaps let me add to this, across the African continent. I bring this up because of its impact on business. We keep talking about the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, how travel across continents, across countries on the continent would help trade, would facilitate trade, and how we must be friendlier, especially when it comes to our visas and visa application. Kudos to Rwanda, kudos to Kenya, who have relaxed their visa rules. But these are conversations we must have. When are we going to get it right? I say that as well because on that website, you see how they tell you that they will compensate you, and they would even provide free legal services for a certain fee if your flight is delayed, if your flight is cancelled across the EU. I hope we're going to be able to get to that part of our of development in the aviation sector. I'm looking forward to that. And so just to mention that we're not, this top West airport does not count all of us there, but also to say that it doesn't have to be a nightmare to travel within the country and even outside the country. There's a lot of potential revenue as well in that, in terms of tourism. So I'm hoping that we can maximize that aspect of our nation. Rotus, I challenge you to do a ranking on the worst and best airports in Nigeria and on the African continent. Let's see that.
Okay, I'll work on that.
Talking about the airports, I was waiting for you to point out specifically the criteria used in selecting the best and the worst. What is it? Is it the architectural design? Is it the quality of service at the airports? Is it the quality of the environment and all of that? Because it's when we interrogate the criteria that other countries will be able to learn. Because as it is, airports are icons, they are symbols, and they are linked to the nationalities. The same way you have mentioned Brazil having some of the best airports in the world, and Japan also, having more than one on the list of 10 best airports. That's number one. Number two, as for China, economic recovery in China has been very slow since the end of the pandemic, in quotes, and China decided to open up, but they have issues with the property market. They have issues with the manufacturing section, which is contracting. They have issues with disinflation. And that is why, the People's Bank of China has been trying to introduce a number of measures to help economic recovery, such as liquidity injections, and then this decision to keep the monetary policy steady, and to also keep the LPR, which is where most of the loans are, steady at 3.45, and also the other rate, which is the 5-year rate, which is for mortgage. So the question is, what effect will this have, and how quickly will it happen? Would that economic recovery come by? Because there are many that are even saying that even what the People's Bank is doing is still very conservative, and that it doesn't go far enough. Number three, as for the 12.3 million people who are likely to be blocked out of telecom services in Nigeria, the question is, we've been on this since 2020. You recall that at the time, there was a huge public outcry about the pace at which, the telecom companies were taking in those NIN numbers and harmonizing with the SIM. But the problem is also with Nigerians. I mean, 2020 to 2023, 2024 is long enough a period for people to go and register, harmonize their SIM card with their NIN. Because at that time, on this same table, we were arguing that, give the people more time, give the people more time. Are we in a position now to ask for more time? So who bears the brunt of this? 12.3 million people may be blocked out. If they are, it's the telecom companies that will suffer.
Right.
So this is the other dimension of it. I thought there were two other stories I was interested in, which I thought you bring up. First, Toshiba. Toshiba has been delisted from the Tokyo Exchange. They've been having issues with foreign investors, but now a group led by Japan Industrial Partners will take Toshiba,
private,
a deep tech company, take it private and will be owned by the Japanese investors themselves. Well, would that help Toshiba to reposition, to reinvent itself? The question hangs in the air. Finally, the Red Sea, the crisis in the Red Sea, with the Houthi rebels based in Yemen, attacking vessels, claiming that they are attacking vessels that are that are headed towards Israel. The U.S. has had to set up an international maritime force with the cooperation of Bahrain, Canada, the United Kingdom to patrol the Red Sea, which accounts for the movement about 12% of global trade. Now, as British Petroleum has suspended using that route, Maersk, the Danish company, is now going to take through the Cape of Good Hope. And imagine that in terms of cost, if they go through the Cape of Good Hope, a journey that should be just 13 days to say Singapore will now have to take 31 days. So the implications for global trade is not just in terms of oil, but also for goods, other goods, electronics and all of that. And the cost is likely to go up. Already, the price of Brent crude has gone up by 1%, but it is still under $80 per barrel. So this shows again how interconnected, the entire world is. And if the Americans and the allies, as part of that international maritime operation, the Red Sea could be another theater of war, because the Houthi rebels are saying they are supporting Hamas and they will frustrate whatever heads in the direction of Israel. But it's not just vessels headed towards Israel.
Others as well.
Others are suffering.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much, Rotus.